I was trying to do what everybody else was doing rather than doing what I want to do, what makes me happy. So that's what I did. That's what I'm gonna do. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode, I'm gonna be giving you guys a proper introduction as to what I should have did from the start. Let's get to it. So first off, I want to apologize to you guys. So when you're trying to build connections and you're trying to build an audience, you want to share things about you, who you are, like your hobbies, what you like, what you don't like. That's how you connect more on a personal level with somebody. You can make deeper connections that way. So I should have did this from the first episode. That's why this episode's 1.5. Hello, my name is Brent Baldwin. I have in the past done firefighting, was in the Navy. I was on 3 different submarines. In later episodes, I'm going to go deeper into more about my life on the Navy, or on submarines in the Navy, and why I'm no longer in the Navy. When I got out of the Navy, I went back to the fire department. I worked there for a little bit, and then I got into law enforcement. I was able to go on some ride-alongs with some other deputies and stuff. And so I got into that field, law enforcement, went to police academy, got out of the police academy, graduated valedictorian of that. Worked at a few different agencies, and then something big happened that changed my entire life, my family's life, everybody. That episode's coming. But I've worked construction. I've worked at Subway, like food industry. I've served. I did catering. I've done all kinds of things. So one of the biggest things about me that I've kind of opened up and been more aware about it, and kind of trying to help other people as well. But I struggle a lot with anxiety and depression and PTSD. That's part of why I'm no longer in the Navy. I wrote down on my show notes, just breathe. Because, like, most people don't know they're scrolling TikTok or scrolling YouTube, or they're seeing videos of people that they like watching, or new people that they come across, right? But they don't understand what goes into that video. Like that 6-second video, or 30-second video, or 3-minute long video, whatever it may be that people are watching. So much time and effort has to be put into that, so much thought. But one of my biggest things is because of my anxiety, I'll pace back and forth for an hour. I'll pace back and forth for like an hour or 2 hours before I even press the record button. And I'm sure there's other creators out there and other people that deal with the same problem that I do. And that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing, to be able to help other people like that, and kind of connect everybody together and stuff. But the podcasts, I'm going to have veterans on, first responders, and just everyday people, anybody that has an interesting story to share. And over time, throughout these episodes, you'll learn more about me and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I've always been into social media really ever since it came out. When MySpace came out, I had a MySpace, a Facebook, all that, everything. But it's really not. It goes back deeper and back into high school. Even before that, I always loved photography, videos, taking pictures, and then editing. The composition of setting up a shot and taking it, and then like looking dumb, laying down on the ground in the middle of a park or something with people walking around. Like, but you have to get that shot. But that's something I've always been passionate about. And with doing the podcast, most people don't know either when they're watching the podcast. It's a whole show. There's lights, cameras, mixing boards, all kinds of equipment that people don't know what goes into a podcast. Yeah, you can start off a podcast with just your phone or anything. You don't even have to have video. But the way YouTube's going nowadays, this TV is about to go away. People ain't paying for TV. People don't want to watch a 30-minute episode with 3 commercial breaks, It's just people want to watch what they want to watch and then go on with their day, which is what our world's coming to. But just sitting down, like after an episode of a podcast, I'll film them and stuff. And then I'll sit down, and it's so hard, like, to not just work, because I enjoy it so much. You have to have that good work-life balance to have a healthy life in general. So I'm trying to do that now. I'm filming this episode for you guys, but it happens to be on a houseboat. So I can do some fishing and in between episodes. And believe it or not, the owner of this shrimp boat that I'm in this weekend, he was the guitarist for Elvis Presley and the Beach Boys. His name's Mike Deasy. Y'all should Google him. I'll drop the link here below if y'all want to stay here. Check it out. It's pretty sweet. So that's why I wanted to kind of stay here and film the episode, because it has some cool shots, some cool sets, and y'all are going to see them. But it's also right here on the water, and I've fished since I was a little kid. I love it. I believe everybody should know how to fish, and if you don't, find somebody that does and learn. You can feed your family. Same thing, I believe you should teach your kids how to fish, how to hunt, because the way the world's going, we're going to have our gardens. You should have a garden if you can. Anyways, just in case, I don't know. That's not what this episode's about. That's a whole nother episode we'll dive into another day. So I'm kind of wanting to combine. It's probably crazy, right? But I'm wanting to combine basically kind of like all my hobbies into my career-ish, kind of. So I like photography, right? I like traveling. I like videography, shooting videos. Which all that really together is like the podcast. And I like traveling. I drove just 2 hours to get here, but I'm willing to travel, and I want to travel, by car, plane, boat, whatever. You should want to get out and see the world, because just being in the Navy, I was stationed in Maine, Connecticut, but I went to do camping, in the Great Lakes in Chicago, Illinois. And one of the boats I was on in Connecticut, we changed home port from there all the way to Hawaii. So I was in Hawaii for a little bit. a little over a year. That was freaking awesome. But just going to those different places, like going to hike or going to try like fishing wherever you are there, just to see what their fish is like, you know? Because there's bears up there. You can go on a hike up there compared like a hike in Texas. You know, you gotta watch out for snakes or nothing really. But up there, they got black bear. They won't mess with you. And moose. Now moose, you know, y'all see what they do to cars. I feel like you should live every day like it's your last, really. I know it's kind of like dark, but you really should. And people say, you know, carpe diem, because life is short. I found out actually on the way here filming this episode that my cousin had passed away due to an illness that he had previously. But he's just a few years older than me. And I'm 26. So just a friendly reminder out there. Life's short. I mean, you ain't guaranteed tomorrow, or your drive home from work, or your drive to work. So call who you need to call. Talk who you need to talk to. So one of my favorite quotes, you'll see it on my social media, and that's, if you go to all my social media, it's just Brent Baldwin podcast on everything. But it's, your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. But no matter what you're doing, right? You want to have a good attitude, a good mindset, and why you're doing it. And if you do that, if you have a good attitude with anything you do, it's going to make everything 10 times better, 100 times better, right? And that says, like, your attitude. So just because you can do something, that's what it talks about, the aptitude. Just because you can do something, if you have a bad attitude doing it, you're not going to be successful. So I'll just leave that, my favorite quote, with you guys. Also, you guys can probably hear like maybe a little bit of white noise, but you'll hear like cars passing over a bridge. There's a tall bridge. You'll see it probably in some B-roll, but there's a tall bridge and it's pretty sweet. Hopefully it doesn't affect the audio to the podcast, but it's an amazing view. So get out there, see the world. Y'all do it. It's another few hobbies of mine. So I like beer. And I have a 6-gallon beer brewing kit. It makes 5 gallons of beer, like bottles. It makes roughly like 48 bottles of beer. But that's just a fun like hobby of mine. You know, I don't drink to get like, wasted or nothing like that. But I like going to the breweries and I like trying like new beer, you know, new craft beers, imports, and just like IPAs and stuff like that. I like trying just new things. Just how you try new food, I like trying new beer, just from different places. Just because when you get into doing it, it's fun. It's more like a science experiment. Because like you created it, so it's like your like stew, right? Your little batch that you made. I mean, you can be proud of it. It tastes good, and it's cheap. Another fun fact about me: I played saxophone in high school. Well, really, I played it in junior high and freshman year of high school. Barry saxophone and alto saxophone. I always had a passion just for music in general. It's like when I was going to church when I was little, or just hearing music. I was always tapping. I was that one. The teacher, always, Brent, stop tapping. Brent. But I was always tapping on something. But I don't know. It just kept my mind like good, I guess. Just was at peace. Like drums. Like I used to have a drum set. I had to move and get rid of it. But I could sit there on that drum set and just play for hours, just sitting there. And my brother, he had a guitar, and he knows a few chords on the guitar, and he's self-taught too. But he played the chords he knew, and I would just play along with him to whatever beat or rhythm he was playing to. And then sometimes he would throw words in there, and we'd be jamming out in the room. So I've always had a passion for music, and that's kind of like, you get to use the music too when you're editing, because music plays an important part of storytelling. It builds tension, or can make it, more emotional, more deeper. Music just helps a lot of people, just, when they get that breakup, or, they just lost a loved one. Just music just goes and like moves through people. And it really is. And people that have the ability to write music, tell that story. And that brings us up to the next part, where I'm going to tell you about the guests we plan on having, or I plan on having on the show. I plan on having, other veterans and people, first responders, and singers, songwriters, rappers, just people out in the world that have a story. A lot of people don't know their story, or they just might have a story that's interesting to tell everybody. Like Area 51 stuff, or just anything. That's why I'm wanting to bring other people on as guests. And that's how I said I was going to kind of combine everything together, like all the photography and videography and traveling and all that, because I do plan on building out a permanent studio, like the Joe Rogan podcast, and anybody, that has a built out studio, that's permanent studio. But I also want to travel too. A lot of people that are busy, so they're not going to be able to come to the studio as often. Plus, I can get to travel and then give you guys the stories that you want to hear and stuff like that. So it's going to be exciting. But when we do build out the permanent studio, I say we, because I do plan on eventually having a team, right? It isn't. The whole show isn't going to be about me. I don't want it to be about me. I told you guys that on the first episode. But obviously, I'm only one person. Once we get into doing bigger, more shows a week, because I am going to do this weekly. It's going to be every single week. But I want to get it to where I can maybe give you guys 2 a week. Because like I said, TV's going, is going down the drain. Nobody's watching it. So you guys are going to want more episodes. And I want to be able to provide you guys more episodes. Traveling and providing you guys podcast episodes, it's change of scenery for you. You don't have to look at the same background over and over again. I kind of want to change it up. So I think you guys might like that. I would love to hear feedback in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But how I'm doing, obviously I'm trying to get better at talking on camera. From the first day I did it until now, I'm better. before it's weird because you're talking to yourself pretty much. People don't realize that either when they're watching videos. People consume content differently. So that's just something different to think about too. Guys, connect with me on Discord, Brent Baldwin Podcast Community. And then you can connect with me on all social media, Brent Baldwin Podcast. Thanks for everybody watching, tuning in. If you like what you're seeing, like it, subscribe. I really do appreciate it. And we've grown so much already in just a short amount of time. It blows my mind. But I started off, posting gaming videos, and I still do because that's what I do as one of my hobbies in my free time. And I started doing ASMR. And I do find ASMR interesting and calming and relaxing and helpful. I was trying to do what everybody else was doing rather than going and doing what I want to do and what makes me happy. So that's what I did. And that's what I'm going to do. And me doing this will provide value to you guys from the guests, from the conversations that we have, just from tips and tricks, just about being a dad, or if you're wanting to join the military. I know people on most branches. And if I don't, then I know somebody that does that can help you out and give you a better idea or to answer your questions. Till next time. Peace.